Craig Simon's show review. Show 3. The third stream. I don't even know how much I really talked about my last stream because it was long, yet I discussed mostly irrelevant topics, which is basically why this is going to last forever, because I'm going to keep getting really distracted constantly. Sun's in the same place. I guess that's not surprising. It's very orange again. I guess it's not really red, it's more... Because even if I say it's red, it's not really red. The sun is red. No, the moon is red. Did I say it was red the last time again? It's reddish, but not really red. It's neon orange, I would say. It's red adjacent, but it's not actually red. It's orange. It's neon orange right now. And the other color it goes is hot pink, which is also not red. Yeah, there I go again. It's too easy, man. The visuals distract me, and my own mind somehow manages to severely distract me. More than anything, it's just my own mind distracting me. So these things really just go on forever. And they never end. Can't focus. Plus, there's just so much I could say. And I could think of new thoughts all the time. And then we do another installment with my new thoughts. I had another parting question. Why have you always, throughout your life, worn every shirt with buttons buttoned all the way to the top? I've noticed this in every single picture I've ever seen. Every shirt that has buttons is always buttoned all the way to the top. No exceptions. And have you ever felt a choking sensation as a result? Because I imagine it could get uncomfortable. It's definitely some kind of mental thing. Some kind of mind thing. Wow, this is a really impressive sun here. It's definitely orange. First of all, I'd have to remove the black and white filter. Then I'd have to remove the other filter. Oh, this is GIFs. What the fuck? Oh my god, I don't even remember how the fuck to do this. This is ridiculous. Color. Okay. Beauty. No. Color. Okay, color original. And then I have to remove the other filter, which is okay. Great. Now I'm on stickers. There. Is that even going to show anything? Yeah, that looks terrible. It really looks like one of those camcorders from back in the day. It certainly doesn't look... I think it's also blurry because of the smudge on the lens, perhaps. I don't know. Or because it's too zoomed in. It looks so terrible, though. My god. This is not at all what it actually looks like, but you could see it's very bright. and large. Is this zoomed out all the way now? Oh, of course, something else happens. That was necessary. I shouldn't have tried. Why did I even try to do that? Seriously. I'm a bit stupid for that one. Of course, a fool to imagine I could get away with just doing that with zero consequences. Is that fine? I guess that's fine. Okay, we're back. I think it's fine. I don't know how big the GIF was before I got all fucked up, but I guess that's fine. I feel like it's still zoomed in. Am I wrong? Oh my god, it is fucking, of course. Now it's not. Can we just be chill? So that's a good question, I feel. It's all part of the tremendous emotional and physical repression, of course. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't have an answer in mind upon asking the question. Why the fuck does it keep zooming in? How zoomed in is it still? Girl, what the fuck is happening? Is it done yet? Like, holy shit. This is why I shouldn't zoom in. I shouldn't try to show the sunrise. It's not going to work. I feel like I've learned this lesson already. And here we are again. Relearning as if we need to at this point. Maybe now I'll remember, though. Maybe this is the final straw for me. After this, I'll finally know. Stop trying to show the sunrise. Stop trying to zoom in. Stop trying to remove the filter. Okay, back to it. Yeah, there's something very psychologically interesting about always buttoning all your shirts with buttons all the way to the top. And I'm sure no one's observed this before, perhaps, but it just kind of trips me out, like all this information I've gathered and the way I'm analyzing the information, and it just feels like, where are the people observing these things and noticing what I'm noticing? Is anybody seeing what I'm seeing? Am I just making shit up here? You know, I wonder. Because obviously people do observe many things all the time. So why not in this situation, seemingly? But it's such a tell to me. I don't know, it feels like that's something that I just immediately noticed, and I was like, I wonder what's happening here. What's going on with that? And of course nobody wants to know but me, which is why I have to ask. And perhaps nobody has observed, because, well, people generally don't notice and maybe don't care. It's not very important to many people. These things that I fixate on, of course, but for me, that is an important parting question, to get that idea out there. What's going on with all those buttons all the way to the top every time throughout your life? What's happening? My God, what the hell kind of bird is that? It's like screaming. Fascinating. There's plenty of different creatures in the forest. Plus there's the water too. So it's not just the forest creatures, but the water creatures too. They mix together. And it's kind of interesting, all those mystery noises coming from the forest, especially in the dark, which I haven't managed to get to in a while, tragically and depressingly. You know, especially walking around here in the dark when I can't see absolutely anything. Why isn't this fucking charging properly? Is it because it's plugged in a different way? Could that possibly be the reason? If I plug it in the other way, it'll charge better somehow. I feel like this was not happening before. And I feel like I was already talking about this and how it's not happened before, and now it did happen, and then it didn't happen, and now it's happening again. And I'm like, what the fuck is actually going on here? Why does it keep not happening sometimes and then happening other times? Like, it goes down even though I'm charging. The percentage keeps going down, which is obviously not ideal if I don't want the phone to die. Very concerning. Of course, this battery is just epically terrible and I can't expect it to function well. But when I was here, literally just yesterday, it was charging up. It was actually not charging down, it was charging up. So what's up with that? Why is it actually charging down this time? It's not like I'm using a different cable. I'm using the same cable, the same battery. Everything is the same, I thought. Maybe it's a little colder. Maybe it's not. I don't even know. It's definitely not very cold. But it's also not warm. You would think an ideal condition. So what's happening? Again, with this bullshit. Oh well, it might die. It is what it is. Everybody dies. And I already did say that. Jesus Christ. I need to find new things to talk about. But I shouldn't even be talking about this. I was talking about a completely different subject. Okay, so the fucking, the shirts thing, that's a new question to add to the list. My mind is completely blank. I don't know what to say now. Not looking at my notes. But I didn't write down any new thoughts. So I was just ruminating on it. Maybe I'm just done thinking because I thought so hard earlier. For hours I was thinking and talking to myself about shit. And now I my brain is exhausted and I'm very depressed. Because I tire myself out. Sometimes I get very depressed after. I think that's what happens. I get very depressed after I tire myself out. So now I'm just exhausted and depressed, I suppose. I was doing so much thinking. Let me think some more. We'll see. Oh, of course. So how many people in total would you say you've made cry throughout your life? Or maybe if it's just too difficult and there's too many, specifically how many fans? What is the ballpark number? If you can recall some of the incidents, perhaps guesstimate. I'm very curious what that number might be. That's an interesting contemplative one that might take a while to figure out. Okay, another good question. I've been ruminating on this because this is interesting to me. I noticed a slight pattern here. It was just two events that seemed similar that happened close together. So, for the Heckler's Welcome Tour, in Nottingham, I think it was several nights in a row in that venue. And it was perhaps the final night, perhaps not. What happened with the situation where after the intermission for part 2 of the show, when you walked out on stage and there was a heckler who yelled, "Fuck off," and you said, "All right then, bye," and immediately walked off again? What was going on with all that? What was that situation about? Because you literally just walked off. So the audience that night only got part 1 of the show. And I know if it were me, I would be absolutely furious. I'd be like, what the actual fuck is this bullshit? What the fuck just happened? And I'm sure that poor heckler who was, just trying to probably, I don't know, do a heckle because it's called Heckler's Welcome. They were perhaps trying to heckle, for the Heckler's Welcome show. Maybe they were drunk. People love drinking at comedy shows. I have come to learn. It seems like it's a known thing. They love to drink so they can laugh more. I suppose. It helps them laugh more. But, you know, their crime, the heckler's crime, was yelling fuck off at the Heckler's Welcome show. And I'm not sure exactly what the rules were. Did that fall in line with the rules? I guess that's a part 2 to the question. That's a separate question, but it's within the first question. It's a follow-up question, if you will. So the first question is, what the fuck happened? You just walked off and left them without part 2 of the show. What did they say to you backstage? What did you say to them? Or did you just run away? Did you literally just run out the building without even stopping to have a talk? Is that what went down? I'm very curious. Yeah, I guess I have various questions, but why the fuck did you... You just said, all right then, bye, and just walked right back off like, what the fuck was happening there? What were you thinking? Why did you do that? Why did you just run away after, too? Perhaps simply exited the building immediately, because it's like, there was no coming back. Like, it wasn't like, well, that was just a joke, and then I took a break, and now I'm back, you know? You didn't do that. That's what I would have done. If I temporarily lost my mind for some reason, and I did that, and someone yelled fuck off, and then I said, all right then, bye, and just walked right back off immediately after walking out for the second part of my show. If I did that, I wouldn't have left the building, wouldn't have run away. I would have just perhaps collected myself and then walked back on, and I would say something like, just kidding, and everyone would laugh and cheer and applaud. I'd say, just kidding, I decided to take a little break backstage. Say something to the heckler to make them feel better about their whole situation where they seemingly made the comedian walk off stage and ditch his show right at the start of part 2. Because, yeah, that's what I was trying to say, is like, what the fuck happened to the heckler as well? What happened to them? You know, they probably got eaten alive. Because I noticed that happens to hecklers. They can get eaten alive very easily, especially if you have a very adoring, very loving, you know, dedicated, sort of worshipping type of fan base. They're not just there for comedy, they're there for the personality. They're there to adoringly observe you. Not all of them, obviously. Probably not the heckler. I don't know. How drunk were they? Maybe they were sober. I'm interested. I'm interested in all the details. There wasn't enough detail for me. There was very little detail, so I'm trying to fill in the blanks here. I'm trying to figure it all out. I don't have that much information to go on. Now, the heckler had probably gotten a lot of trouble, because if you just walked right back off and ditched them and ran off into the night, that means there was no part 2 to the show. So that entire audience just didn't get part 2. They didn't get to see part 2 of the show. They were abandoned And in their mind, of course, it's the heckler's fault. The heckler's to blame. We must come after them. We must get them, is what I would assume would happen in that situation, you know. I doubt they would blame you for doing that. I think they would blame the heckler for pissing you off and getting to you. Because, yeah, it really, the dynamic seems to be like this guy probably can do very, very little to no wrong. It's like that kind of dynamic. There are many celebrities who have that effect on people. There are many fan bases with that sort of situation. The dynamic between the fan base and the celebrity. I think it's that kind of dynamic. I really think they absolutely adore you. So they would never want to get mad at you. They'd never want to assume anything negative whatsoever about you. Or get mad that there's no part 2 to this show. At you, I feel they would direct their outrage at the heckler instead. I don't know. Is it their fault? Would I blame the heckler if I were there? That's an interesting thing to think about. How would I feel? Were they drunk? Because I certainly wouldn't blame them for doing some silly shit if they're drunk. And is it that bad, what they did? Is it bad at all? Is it that at all? Is there anything bad about it, really? Would I think there's anything wrong with what they said? You know? It's an interesting thing to consider. So, what was going on with all that? Did you just run out the building immediately, like you ran off stage and you ran out the building? Why was that enough to have that effect? And furthermore, did you just completely get away with it scot-free? 0 consequences? You could just do that? Like, that's just something you can do? And nobody cares that much? Like, I don't know what the full reaction was. I just know one person's reaction. Okay, so they said, I was there for multiple nights. And the other night, I got to see the full show. So I didn't really mind only seeing half a show. For the second time I saw him, is what they said. And they said it was an interesting experience to experience those 2 very different shows and the different vibes. And I was just absolutely amazed at this. Amazed. It's incredible to me to be like, yeah, that's kind of cool. That was kind of funny. I don't know what happened to the heckler, though. I'm very concerned for the heckler's well-being, quite frankly, because it seems like they didn't do anything wrong, actually. You know, it seems like what they yelled out, fuck off, very mild. If you're at a heckler's welcome show and you're heckling something like fuck off, I would probably laugh if they yelled that at me at my heckler's welcome show, but I'm not sure. I can only guess. I'm guessing about everything. I only have very little information, and then I'm just making up the rest as I go along with my imagination, of course, which is what I like to do. I enjoy making up stories. I enjoy using my imagination. It's very entertaining for me. So I'm just filling in the blanks here. And I'm coming up with all these different scenarios and possibilities and theories and questions. So part 2, did you just race out the building immediately because you didn't want to face the consequences of your actions, perhaps? You know, because like I imagine if I were there and you did that and I'm like backstage, I'm now like really questioning everything, and there's going to be like a serious discussion or something. You know, there's going to be some kind of consequences, perhaps. Like, what the fuck are you doing, by the way? You know, that kind of thing. Like, that's like a standard question I would expect. You know, just like, what the fuck is going on? Why did you do that? Why did you walk on stage and then walk right back off again? What's happening? Are you planning to go back out there soon? And of course you didn't. So did they just let you leave? Did you even stop to talk to anybody? What did they say to you? Did you just run away without listening to anything anyone had to say? Did you say anything? What did you say to them? What was your explanation to them in that moment, if there was one? And what happened thereafter? Because obviously if there was no discussion in the moment, there would be at some point after. So what was that like? What was that conversation like? What did people say, and what did you say to people? Very interesting to consider what was going on. And the pattern I noticed is because that's shortly following the fleeing incident, which happened on March 17, where instead of staying after the show to talk to the audience who like to linger around and hopefully talk to the comedian they just saw, you ran away as fast as you could. You dipped immediately so no one could talk to you after the show on March 17. And I noticed the Nottingham incident was another fleeing incident, of course, and that took place shortly after March 17. It seemed to be the next show, but there was only one date listed. But then I realized it was multiple nights. So actually, even though there's only one date listed, obviously it would be multiple nights. If someone saw you there 2 nights in a row, it's all very confusing. I think it was several nights in a row in Nottingham, probably in the same venue then. And it was listed as just one day, but it was multiple days. So it wasn't the first show, but it was the first set of shows. During one of those shows is when it happened. So, is it related to the fleeing incident on March 17? And also, I suppose I could ask, why the fuck did you run away on March 17, by the way? When you said you would be there specifically. Like, how often does that happen? Where someone asks you if you'll be there and you say yes, and then they show up and you don't. How often has that happened in your life? Has that happened before? Another good question. Has it happened before, or am I the first victim of that situation? I was like trying to make sure. So like if I needed to prepare something, I could prepare my letters, you know. Otherwise I don't need to worry about it, and I can just do whatever I feel like instead in Toronto, you know, go to a bar and hang out and then actually sleep Didn't really sleep much, that's for sure. That is like when things are very hectic for me. I get like so zoned out that I just have even a worse concept of time than usual. So I tend to sleep even less in that situation. Not that I don't sleep much. I do actually. But if it's very chaotic, or if I'm kind of busy, I suppose, maybe I won't sleep much. But if it's very chaotic and I could theoretically sleep, sometimes I won't sleep just because I have no concept of time and I feel stressed out and I'm just wide awake and just doing whatever the fuck I'm doing, really zoned in on random activities. I don't know what I just said, but it probably made enough sense. What's with all the emotes? Are you just going through your emote list? Well, carry on, I suppose. It's not really bothering me. Anyway. So, is it related? Is that fleeing incident related to the other fleeing incident? Because I noticed they took place so close together. It was almost the next show. I guess it wasn't actually the next show. I was like, oh my god, it was the next show after. 2 fleeing incidents in a row is what I thought happened. Turns out there were actually several dates. They were all probably in the same venue. But is it related? Okay, is it related? Why was someone yelling fuck off enough to get you to just ditch the rest of your show? That's completely crazy to me. That's wild behavior. And that's another example, I feel, of like what someone can get away with if they're so beloved by their audience. Like, there's certain fandoms that just have, like, there's the celebrity is like their idol, they adore them, they can do no wrong. I feel it's that type of situation. It's just like, I don't even believe in the concept of love, but like the rhetorical concept of parasocial love. They quote unquote love you so much they don't ever want to think badly of you, and they'll do whatever it takes to never think badly of you, which is, you know, the same effect John Mulaney has on many people. It's like a similar idea where they're like, yeah, that's his personal life, whatever, you know, they don't want to think too much about who he really is as a person because they want to keep enjoying his comedy. They want to keep enjoying the character of John Mulaney, because obviously the character of John Mulaney. But why do you keep putting emotes and why did you thank me? Why did you thank me, and why do you keep putting emotes? 2 questions. Okay, so the character of John Mulaney obviously is nothing like who he really is as a person, and they don't want to think about who he really is as a person. They just want to enjoy his character and just have fun and just adore him, and, you know, it's a nice experience for them. And people can just choose to see what they want to see and believe what they want to believe and feel what they want to feel. The power of the mind is quite tremendous. So my theory is Craig Simon's audience are using the power of the mind to focus on what they want to focus on. But imagine I had that happen. Like, I didn't prepare much, okay? I didn't prepare much. I thought, I'll write some letters and I'll hand them off the second night in Toronto because now I've made sure he'll be back. He can take them. And I don't have to worry about the fact I didn't prepare anything for the first night. But then it turns out the second night, he just dipped and was gone forever, leaving me with what I prepared for no reason. You know, I was like, it was at like, I don't know, like 1, 2 in the morning. I was just writing, but I didn't write that much. That's the thing though, is like I didn't even manage to accomplish, which is like very typical for me. Like my productivity is never high in most situations. So like even though I had all the intention of doing all this writing, what I ended up with is like laughable 2 pieces, 2 letters, you could say. One was on a small piece of paper, and one was in a card that was also like a speech, I could say. Like a speech I could give, and then it's like a wedding speech or something, you know, where you just rattle on about the meaning of life, etc. You know, that kind of meaningful, deep speech where you really say something that's worth saying and worth listening to, that has some kind of important message to it, was the goal of the speech on the card. But I only had those 2 things, that 1 paper and the 1 card. That's all I accomplished, which is completely ridiculous. Like, what the fuck was I doing? I think it was only that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm thinking now, like, how the fuck did I only do that? Like, I had plenty of time, obviously, to do way more, and I only did that? Damn, bro. But that's literally all I accomplished. But I took the time to do all that, and it was all stressful, etc. for nothing. And imagine I also went to that show after, like almost immediately after the first fleeing incident, and ran right into the second fleeing incident where you ran away, but this time it was off stage at the start of part 2 of the show. What happened? What happened both of those times? 2 fleeing incidents almost in a row in the same month. And did it happen? Oh, there's another question, a good follow-up question. Did it ever happen besides those times? Because I'm almost certain it must have. If it happened once and then it happened almost immediately again, I'm guessing it's a pattern that isn't limited to those 2 cases, but I could be wrong. I'm very curious if it ever happened more times. More fleeing incidents, if you will. And what were those circumstances? And why does it keep happening? And what's going on? And what happened? And what did people say about it? Does anyone care but me? What the hell? You know, that kind of line of questioning. But yeah, it's like, they're not going to get mad. I feel like it's just really hard to make that fandom mad at you if they just adore you so much. The rose-colored glasses stay firmly in place at all times. It's the only way to live. Plus, I guess people are just not obsessive the way I am. I love to fixate. I love to fixate and observe and like zoom in on all the details and just ruminate eternally. And just like really, like when I get a grip on something, I can't let anything go. I'm one of those people who's like, what is going on? But what happened? You know? Like I'm a detective solving a mystery. I just want to know everything. I'm fascinated. What's going on with the fleeing incidents? And the audience, I've just observed, is so overwhelmingly positive. And I'm like kind of envious that anyone could be treated that way. It's like, wow, what a fan base to have. Like, hardly anything negative. Just, they'll follow you wherever you go. They'll sell out every show you do. How lucky can you get? That is such an amazing place to be. I can't even get a single person to watch my stream, you know? And you're out here selling out every show despite the fleeing incident. Who knows about it? All the people who were there know about it. And I wonder, did they continue buying tickets after? Like, did they keep going to more shows, you know? Like, did they trust that you wouldn't do it again? Did you ever address it? Did you ever tell anyone about it? Like, what happened? Were there no questions? Did the public not question you about it? Very interesting. Because I'm pretty sure you never said anything about it to the media yourself. That seems unlikely. Perhaps. Actually, I haven't kept a very close track on it. So I'm just assuming. I'm assuming it was not addressed publicly. Therefore, I wouldn't have that information at hand anywhere. I couldn't track it down. But wow. So lucky you could get away with all that. I just, like, how many comedians can do a show where they just, they hear someone yell, fuck off, and then they just run off stage, and the second half of their show is just canceled. And the audience is just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? That's incredible to me. Just got away with that scot-free. I mean, I'm glad I wasn't a part of that. I suppose I would prefer the fleeing incident I experienced to the worse version where there's no part 2 of the show. That's definitely a worse fleeing incident than the one I experienced. Because, you know, I went to 2 nights, but both of them were completed. Interesting. That's just like, I'm just realizing now, that's like the same story, kind of, as the person who told the Nottingham story. They went to 2 nights too, and the first night was fine, and the second night, fleeing incident. Same for me. First night fine, second night fleeing incident. And at the second night, for me as well, there were heckling incidents, because there's like a lot more heckling. And even then, and that's why I suspect people got really mad at the heckler, even though I personally don't think I would be blaming the heckler for the fleeing incident. But I bet that at least some of them did, because I saw online that people were getting mad at the heckler, one of the hecklers. Of course, there were multiple hecklers at the show, but one of them, they were getting mad because they just kept doing it. But in my mind, a heckler's welcome show involves heckling, and they weren't saying anything offensive either, to my knowledge. So why are they not allowed to heckle? Why is that? Because they were like, I wanted to see his stand-up, and I'm like, this is supposed to happen. Why the fuck are you complaining that you went to a heckler's welcome show and there was heckling? Imagine. Yeah, you can share an emote. What emote did you unlock? With channel points, I'm assuming. Okay, so yeah, it was literally It was literally called Heckler's Welcome, and literally multiple people were upset in this one specific place I was looking. Yeah, I like that one. That's Jacob Cruikshank on YouTube. That's Jacob Cruikshank's face. He is very funny and very strange. Quite a wholesome guy. I mean, he has like a sense of humor where I feel very comfortable. I feel like he's not going to make me uncomfortable with anything he says. You know, I feel safe watching him. So it's very nice. It's like a comforting kind of humor he has. It's very cozy. Anyway, back to the shit. So they were complaining, and I'm sure more people had problems if these people in this one specific post online had problems with this heckler. I was just thinking, it's called Heckler's Welcome, you fucking geniuses. You absolute five heads. You went to a Heckler's Welcome show, and now you're upset because there was a heckler at the Heckler's Welcome show. Bravo! How did you manage that? You know? Incredible stuff. But based on that, I can imagine people also getting upset at the fuck off heckler. Way worse, perhaps, because, you know, they're technically responsible for no second half of the show, even though the person who's genuinely responsible for no second half of the show is Craig Simons himself, who ran off stage never to be seen again. So it's just an interesting situation all around. And the fact they're so close together, and now I haven't wondered this for some reason. I don't know why I haven't wondered, but now I'm wondering, as another follow-up question, how many other times has this happened? Assuming it's happened more than just those 2 times. How many other times has this happened? Is this like a regular occurrence? It's just like, why do you do this? But you know, if you get away with it, I'm very impressed. That's incredible. Everyone still loves you, you get away with it, no consequences. That's impressive. That is like a great show of the power of personality, you know. If you have the right personality, just they'll let you get away with murder, basically. They let John Mulaney get away with some shit that you know, some people treat like murder, like cheating. They treat it like murder sometimes. Some people do. Cheating on your wife. Getting some random person pregnant, by the way, while you're cheating on your wife. I'm assuming he did cheat on his wife. I'm assuming it's all bullshit. He definitely cheated. And by the way, I guess it's not surprising that he didn't think birth control was necessary, but like, my God, bro, you are crazy. He's such a messy person. Like, he is not at all a put-together suit-wearing guy like he is on stage. Like, those suits are complete and utter falsehoods. He is not a suit man, okay? There's nothing about him that says suit man to me. The suits are complete and utter fabrications. Of course, that's a total persona. The suit reveals how much of a complete lie and a persona it is. He does not act whatsoever like a suit guy, okay? Let me tell you what. So the fucking shit, you know, and it's like other shit, there's other shit, you know, and his audience, like, largely has stuck by him, you know? He's still selling out all these shows. He's doing a crazy tour, by the way, like insane. Just, I watched as he kept adding more and more dates. I'm like, holy shit, bro, you're just really getting through it. Like, he's just going and going and going and going and just like racing all around the world, seemingly. I don't know if it's all around the world or just North America, but okay, let me see the chat messages. Oh, I never have a nice day. Life is not nice. Life is horrifically cruel and evil to me. So the most I can hope for is it's not too awful. But that's about it, really. Ah, the topic, yes. I talk about things that most streamers do not, I think. And it is confusing. Most of the things I say are just confusing, I think. I think it's normal to be confused by it. I think that's just most people's experiences with me. Fleeing incidents aren't common. They might be for Craig Simons. I'm not sure. I'm wondering. Well, I think some comedians want hecklers, not all of them. Yeah, a not too awful day. It definitely could be not too awful. That's about it. Interesting. It could be interesting. I find things interesting. That's common. Like these questions I have and all my thoughts. Oops, I just exited the fucking stream again. Oh my god. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see, where was I here? Yeah, I mean, no, comedians, I don't think comedians are doing more crowd work. I think maybe sometimes in order to post the crowd work online because of social media being basically essential. If you're a celebrity, you need social media. Or if you're anyone who's trying to do anything in public, if you're any kind of public figure, you may need social media just to help you become more popular and sell tickets, etc. So it's a real common PR type strategy just to get people interested in you. And the reason they do crowd work and post that is so they don't burn any material, because they're not actually showing anything they do during the show, so people will still, you know, go see them and hear everything for the first time, because it's not all online, you know, and they're waiting to release a filmed, edited show at some point, perhaps. So they do crowd work and post the crowd work. I don't know if every comedian does crowd work specifically to post it. Maybe sometimes they do some extra crowd work, but I think generally they probably just do it the same as it normally was. I'm not sure. Maybe some of them do it more now because of social media. Maybe not. But I don't think heckling and crowd work are the same. Like, you could just ask people questions, you could just interact with people yourself. It doesn't have to start from a place of someone randomly yelling something out. I think in general, that's more disturbing than anything. I think it disrupts the show more than it helps the show in many cases. But, sometimes I'm sure it could be a good thing. And sometimes they'll post, heckling content. They'll post some drunk person or something because it's just a funny situation. But if you asked every comedian, do you want people to heckle you? I'm sure probably most of them would say no. I don't think they really want to get heckled. I think because they're in a flow, probably in a flow state, and then the flow state gets interrupted by the heckling, and it probably ruins their flow. So they'd probably rather that not happen all the time. And you can do crowd work by just talking to people yourself. You can invite interaction. You don't have to have people yelling at you to do it. But it is a classic. To me, heckling is a classic of comedy. I think it's a staple. And I think of the classic drunk person yelling shit out and just being really disruptive. I think that's a classic of comedy. Like a stand-up comedy classic experience is to have a drunk heckler yelling things out and having a drunken, loud conversation with the comedian. And, that could be entertaining for people. I'm sure not for everybody, but I just think it's it's more the intentional crowd work they want. The objective of the heckler is they just want to interact with the comedian. They think it's like a part of the show. Part of the show is if you have something to say to the comedian, you can just say it. Plus people, like I said, they often will drink alcohol at a comedy show. And the result of being tipsy or drunk is you're going to be a lot more friendly a lot of times. And your inhibitions slowly disappear. And the lack of inhibition causes people to yell things out because they think they can just start talking to the comedian. And, they just have something to say. They're drunk, they yell it out, Alcohol makes people brave. So, I don't know why, but it's a tradition. It's a tradition. It happens all the time. That's a good old staple. It's one of those things comedians are supposed to be able to handle and work with and just integrate smoothly into their show. They're supposed to be able to react in a smooth way to a heckler. But I haven't been to many shows. I can't say how common it really is. I would say I haven't experienced much heckling at the shows I have been to. And interestingly enough, I don't think the show that I saw in June recently from Craig Simons, he did not receive maybe a single heckle the whole time. It was all just shit tons of laughing, cheering, and applause the entire way through. Oh, I'm not going on tour. you need an audience to go on tour. I was talking about this my last stream. I will not be going on tour because nobody even watches my stream, so how could I have enough of an audience to go on tour? And from the way things have gone so far, I think it's safe to say it's never happening. I think there's never going to be a time when that would even be possible for me, so it's not looking very likely. Okay, answer this, because I used to listen to podcasts constantly because I had a music player and I would just download podcasts. So I listened to many podcasts from the BBC because they have so many podcasts on there I could just download. And I listened to Sheffield at breakfast, BBC Radio Sheffield at breakfast, and one of the hosts, he was always ragging on New Zealand because he would say, New Zealand is so boring, there's no way anyone would want to go there. It's like far more dull than where we live. And I'm wondering, is there something that people from the United Kingdom have against New Zealand? Is there some kind of rivalry there? You guys have some sort of cultural warfare going on? Feels like you might. It might be like Canada versus the United States. Maybe there's some similarities, but like a lot of clashing happening. But I would certainly not mistake a New Zealand accent for a United Kingdom accent. They're quite different. But people, could easily mistake a Canadian for an American. I feel like we have very, very few differences in the way we talk. But someone from New Zealand and someone from the United Kingdom, many more differences there. But I don't know much about New Zealand, to be fair. So there's that. I just know that he would always... Oh, Toby Foster. Oh, shit, I remember. Toby Foster. It was Toby Foster at breakfast. He's the one you can direct your hate mail to. Toby Foster at breakfast. So Toby Foster is actually another comedian. He's a comedian too. And I would listen to his show for years. And he would always just make all kinds of jokes, and he was always shitting on New Zealand, saying how boring it is. I don't know why he would consider it boring, but that's just what he would always say. It was this thing against New Zealand, is how boring he thought it was. Oh, man. And I've never seen his comedy. I never even thought to look him up, ever. Even now I'm thinking, why have I never tried? I don't know. It's just, I have a hard time following through on things and getting into new things to watch is a real process for me. I just stick with the same old shit a lot of the time. I'm one of those people who follow a routine. And the stand-up, I never checked it out. Maybe I should. Anyway, that was a long ramble. Okay, what are you saying? Yeah, I mean, you can heckle me now. You're kind of heckling from the chat messages. If you consider chat messages to be communication, and then the streamer is the stand-up comedian, then yes, you're heckling me right now. You don't even have to wait for a tour. It's just anything you type in the chat, it's like an interruption of what I'm saying because I have to stop and read the message. So I have to stop talking, which is similar to how heckling works, you know. Except, you know, there's no audio, it's just the text. That's the difference. It's definitely more chill. It's a lot more chill than real heckling would be. Oh yeah, he's making jokes about everything, this guy. He has a lot of humor in his show. My set is so good that you can't heckle me right now. I questioned that. I'm glad you may or may not believe that. My set is so good. Oh man. And you're the only audience member. Maybe you're my adoring audience of one person. But it's like, I was just thinking, how many comedians could get away with simply just choosing to, you know, have a 2-part comedy show, and when they get on stage for part 2, they decide, actually, fuck it, I'm just gonna leave, I'm done, no part 2 for you, I'm out of here. How many comedians could get away with doing that? How many comedians could walk off halfway through their show and get away with it? Well, I'm glad you're happy to be that. That's nice. I have someone for now. Usually my adoring audience members trickle away. They trickle away. They wouldn't usually give a reason, but they always leave me in the end. Anyway. Not like right now, but like within days, weeks, months, sometimes maybe years. But they'll leave. They all leave, is what I'm saying. But I don't mind. I just like talking to myself, so it's fine, because I can still talk to myself. That's the main thing. I just like hearing the sound of my own voice, and I like having my own thoughts out in the world. This is ridiculous, this fucking exposure scale here. Like, what am I... This feels like it's still too bright. Like, what is going on? Hell no. This is ridiculous. Like, girl, figure it out. Oh my god. That's not helping anything, is it? I'm just trying to make it stop being overexposed, and oh my god, I can't do it. This is so bright, I feel like. I can't tell because the sun is in my eyes. Oh my god. I don't know. Okay, now it's kind of fine. When I normally stream is whenever I feel like it. I recently stopped streaming for 2 months straight, so there's my schedule. You're absolutely not going to be able to establish much of a pattern with me. I mean, why would I have a routine? People don't watch me to begin with. It's not a job. It's a fucked up hobby. Kind of a fucked up hobby to have. I do get hecklers for real. Like, I do ban people from time to time. I had a stream where I banned 2 people plus a bot. I get these view bots like every stream now. I have to keep banning more view bots that are advertising their viewer services where they give me fake viewers. I have to keep banning these things constantly now. Like, I don't know what's going on. They think I need serious, desperate help, which is true, but fake viewers won't really make me palatable to real people, you know. I mean, I'm awesome to me too. I don't have any kind of confidence or self-esteem problems. I'm more of like a massive demonic hater who thinks everyone else is wrong and I'm right. That's more of my problem. I very much look down on humanity. Anyway, so fucking, yeah, like, people have, like, legitimately shit on me throughout my streaming non-career, and I had to ban them. So it does happen. And you could call that some real form of heckling. Plus, the thing about heckling that I didn't consider earlier is that in person, like, they have to, usually they're paying to see you. So they're probably someone who will enjoy what you're doing in some way. Probably wants to see you. Plus they're there in person, facing you directly. So the level of heckling generally would be a lot more limited. Like, in chat, they can literally have like graphic depictions of sexual assault, violence of all kinds. Like, they could literally type anything. But in person, are you going to make a rape threat while you're sitting there watching someone? Probably not. That would be very stupid. But you know, like, the likelihood of you getting a rape threat while you're doing stand-up comedy, very low. A little higher for someone like me. I didn't get one of those. I got a death threat, like, but they were describing the way they hoped I would die, is what they were doing. So that is kind of considered a death threat, even though they weren't saying they're going to do anything, but they were describing the way in which they hoped I would die. But even then, like, I just think it's not happened very often for me because I just don't get viewers in general, so there's no one watching me to begin with. So obviously, like, someone who actually has viewers is far more likely to get more hecklers in their chat, if you will. And it's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, the streamer is the stand-up comedian and the chatters are hecklers. And it could be a positive or negative heckle. But it does interrupt them, you know, like, they have to stop talking to read the chat. They can't just talk while they're reading. It doesn't really work very well. So in a way, it is like text heckling. Anyway, I'm just like thinking, yeah, like, the fascinating thing to me is, like, Craig Simon's audience adores him so thoroughly that there's not much he could do. To really ruin that for himself, it seems. But I'm sure many other comedians, if they walked off halfway through their show, there would be a lot more attention drawn to it. Negative attention, not like, that was interesting. Like, that one person who was actually there just said, well, I was there the previous night and I got the full show. And the second night, half a show. But that was an interesting experience. 2 very different shows on the 2 different nights. And I was thinking, holy fuck, that's crazy. But I guess they were, you know, they were there for the previous night, which probably counts for a lot. I don't know how they would feel if they were only there for that one show. What if they traveled to see him? What if they traveled to see him like I did? I had to travel to see him. What if they traveled to see him and he walked off halfway through his show, never to be seen again, would they be like, that was interesting, you know? But it just feels like there wasn't much, if any, reaction / consequence with that. And I'm just thinking, yeah, like, you're so lucky. That's your life. Like, that's your audience. They just adore you so much that you can just do that. And they'll just assume the best of you. And just not care that much, basically. And do the general public even know about it? Or is it kind of a secret that it happened? But what a story. What a story. What was going on around that whole situation? I'm quite curious. Oh, wow. Well, I say a lot of really negative, dark-sided shit all the time, so I wouldn't be too enthusiastic. I think that's probably why people don't keep listening. I'm guessing it's all the overwhelming negativity all the time. I'm a massive doomer and a hater. But I do just get so sidetracked. I'm not someone who can keep to one line of thought for very long most of the time. So that's the upside, I suppose, is even if I'm talking about how much I hate my life, I'll probably get distracted by something else and stop talking about the hating my life thing. I might come back to it, but it's like, it's not consistent. It's not like one stream is just one long tirade, basically. It's not ever that situation. I'm much more diverse that way. I can get real easily distracted. I'll start rambling about something else. Okay, that's a heavy promise to make. I'll listen no matter what. Well, it's good that the optimism and the hope is there. But yeah, it's like, I think his audience, not only do they just unequivocally adore him no matter what, but additionally, they will tear apart and shut down any negativity from anyone else. So not only are they overwhelmingly positive, but they also tear apart any negativity from anyone else. So they're like a self-regulating ecosystem in that sense. Like, they are so overwhelmingly adoring and positive that they can't tolerate anything that isn't overwhelming, adoring positivity, and they'll shut it down immediately. And they won't allow it into their space, It's just not the vibe. So I feel with everything I have to say, I would have a real hard time finding anyone else in his audience who cares to hear it, who would want to listen to it. So I'm not going to be able to just make a Reddit post about it and get support for my ideas, that's never going to happen. I would be downvoted into oblivion in no time. Absolutely. I've observed this happening. Like, you can't talk shit in his fandom. That's not part of his fandom. There's no shit talking. There's lots of places where that's allowed and even encouraged. Especially for a comedian, you would think shit talking among the comedy sphere, the stand-up comedy sphere, is very common. And it's to be expected. But for him, absolutely not. He's very special. You cannot shit talk Craig Simons to his audience. That's not allowed. That's not part of his stand-up comedy experience. He's so lucky for that. How many stand-up comedians don't get shit-talked all the time by their own audience? Like, that's another thing, actually. Not only, like, the lack of consequences for his actions that he gets to enjoy, but also just generally not being shit-talked by his own audience all the time. Holy fuck. I'm not lying. I'm telling you. Go on Reddit. See what there is to be seen about him. Like, see what's allowed to be said about him in his own fandom. It's wild to me how different it is from what I think most stand-up comedians face. Like, someone like Bert Kreischer or Tom Segura, Tony Hinchcliffe, all those pieces of shit that I, watch videos about on YouTube. I don't watch their stand-up comedy, obviously, even though, like, I could easily watch it for free. I could just pirate that shit, But I choose not to, because I truly have zero interest. I want to watch videos about them. I don't want to watch them directly, But just like any comedian, like whoever the fuck, I'm sure most of them get constant shit from their own audience. I feel like that's pretty standard. So the fact he doesn't experience it that much, very fortunate and unusual for him. That's something that I feel the majority of stand-up comedians don't get to experience. Don't run away from me, rabbit. Love me forever. Please love me forever. I need your love. I need it. Because nobody who's a person likes me. I need a rabbit love. IRL, people don't like me. Even if they might like me for a few weeks in my Twitch chat, they will not entertain my bullshit IRL. People don't like it when I talk. They really don't. I think they don't. It's the rambling. I just don't stop talking. The whole experience probably is very confusing for them. They don't really know what's going on. It's a bit disturbing. You don't need to shit talk Craig Simons. He gets enough of it just from me. Just from me alone. I'm his number one hater, you could say. Because I've been doing so much analysis of the show. And his general, I suppose, personality. Because I just, I zone in. I zone in and I hyperfixate. That's what happens. That's why I don't, explore new content all the time. I don't start watching shows and movies and people's stand-up comedy, I suppose. It's just because I stick to the same shit. I zone in on something and then I just focus all my attention on that. And that's just what I do. And I stick to it. And then eventually I might get tired of it and move on. And then I might come back to it. I'm unpredictable even to myself. I can't tell what I'm actually recording, but yeah, lots of people with no IRL friends on Twitch, that's for sure. Well, of course you can sleep. Sleep is apparently very important, if you didn't know. You should probably always sleep instead of watching Twitch if you need to sleep. 8 hours minimum. Otherwise, your brain is going to develop dementia or something. All those people who think they're cheating the system by surviving on not enough sleep will end up with dementia or something, apparently. Like, their brain is getting fucked, and they're fucked. And there's nothing you can do about it. If you don't sleep enough, you're fucked. You can't replace lack of sleep later on. It's just going to fuck you over. Like, your brain will be terrible, and your body will hate you forever. Am I recording the rabbit? I can't see anything. The fuck? I just don't know. If it's even visible, I have no clue. I really can't see. I guess it's eating the apples. There's a bunch of apples on the ground there. But the shit talking should be organic. It should come from a place of interest, intrigue, curiosity, so forth. You know, it should be something you feel compelled to do. You feel drawn to it. I'm just trying to root out the mystery of the whole thing, and the whole situation is very interesting to me. Therefore, I'm covering the topic because it interests me. You know, the second I get tired of it, I'll just stop. That's all there is to it. Oh, don't run. Don't flinch and run. I'm just here, you know. I'm just here. Okay, there's someone in New Zealand who says hi to you. Is there a creature in the water behind me? I hear, oh yeah, there's water right behind me too. There's like a bridge with water running underneath. There's so many different rustling sounds. I thought it was a person. I think it's something in the water. Don't ask permission to sleep from people. Don't let your sleep debt pile up. It's not worth it. Plus, you can literally just keep a stream going and fall asleep. It happens to me by accident on a regular basis. You can just leave a stream running. The view is the same either way. Your view counts even if you're asleep. It's kind of interesting. All these different sounds, especially in the dark. So many different interesting noises everywhere. There's just like a lot of wildlife. Because there's like fields and forests and there's water too. It's just everywhere here. But it's like, yeah, the way that I work, the hyperfixating, the interest in the culture and so forth, there are other people who share that affinity. And it's not like you can't really, I feel, reduce us to haters. Like, that's very lazy and reductive to just call us haters. I think we're just kind of obsessed with it. We're just obsessive in that way. We're just really interested and we're fixated, and it's just a topic that draws a lot of excitement and interest, and we just want to get to the bottom of things. And also we're very passionate about it, like the hypocrisy, especially the the shilling, the selling out in the stand-up comedy scene. I'm very interested in those subjects, and I watch many YouTube videos, so many YouTube videos about it. And there's only like a few people like me who are like really obsessed with it, who make YouTube videos about it. But the audience, I suppose, is much larger. I guess I'm just like, I'm producing these streams where I'm discussing it, so I'm part of the creator sphere and not just the audience. But yeah, there's not that many creators of it, but the audience for it is pretty large. Like the stand-up comedy critical audience who feel like stand-up comedians have a lot to answer for, and they're just fascinated by the whole scene. And I come from that place, and my interest for that is never-ending, seemingly. I'm just constantly watching these videos and thinking about it, because it's just so interesting to me what they're doing, what they're up to, you know. It's more interesting to watch critical YouTube videos than it is to actually watch the stand-up comedy itself. Like, I find stand-up comedy, for the most part, to be very boring and repetitive, actually, which is why I like the criticism so much, because I don't actually like the stand-up comedy. I wouldn't want to watch almost any of these comedians who are being discussed. I would simply like the criticism of the comedians, and that's what I find just like incredibly, endlessly entertaining. It's just so entertaining for some reason to me. That's my entertainment. That's just what I like to watch, and that's what I fixate on. Oh, yes. I know way too much about people who I don't actually directly watch. I just watch the criticism of them, and I read about the criticism. It's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know, like, what most of these people's stand-up comedy is really like. I haven't taken the time to explore much of it, but I know what people have to say against them. I know very well what people have to say against them. Because it's like, if you're not gonna enjoy the stand-up comedy, then you can enjoy the criticism of the stand-up comedy, I suppose. It's just much more funny. I laugh a lot more at the criticism videos. I think it's very entertaining. It's a fun, interesting topic for me. Well, almost nobody says goodbye before they leave, so that was a unique situation, actually. It's not common on Twitch from my experience. Anyway, that was, I don't know, something. It was something. I never really know how much sense I really made whenever I talk. But I don't have a conclusion. I don't have a conclusion for this. The conclusion is what? Don't support the stand-up comedians. Support their critics. Don't support stand-up comedy. Support criticism of stand-up comedy, but not the actual stand-up. Like, that's part of it, but it's just like the realm of the stand-up comedian. Don't support the stand-up comedian. Support the criticism of the stand-up comedian. That's where it's at.